Today is 9:29 a.m. Thursday, March 16th. My name is Brennan Kelsey, be chair, along with me, Mr. Marabella and Mr. Freeman. Staff seat at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. Our remote location is East Feliciana Parish Jail with staff and support at East Feliciana. Please introduce yourself. Staff.
Warden Sanders, East Feliciana Parish Sheriff Office.
Warden Sanders.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, for first case, please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
My name is A Corzo. My DOC number is 439-278.
All right, Louise, you heard the introductions. We'll have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Lewis Corzo, DOC number 439-278. Third class offender, parole eligibility date 5/19/2022, good time 5/13/2025, full term 2/19/2026, 7 years, 3 months, 5 days. You have an armed robbery, you have armed robbery, possession of intent to distribute cocaine, habitual offender, and contraband. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Answer, Mr. Marabella, please.
Good morning, Mr. Corzo. My name is Tony Marabella. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Mr. Marabella.
How old are you, Mr. Corzo?
39.
How long have you been in prison on these charges this time?
3 years and a half.
3.5 years?
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your educational background. How far did you go in school?
I dropped out at 9th grade, but I attained a GED when I was in Atlanta in 2003, I think.
And where did you get it at?
Atlanta Correctional.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been in prison altogether? I mean, I know you were in jail. You've been in jail now. You said 3.5 years. But on the armed robbery, on the drug charges, how long have you been in jail altogether?
19 and a half.
Did you work when you were out?
Yes, sir.
What kind of work did you do outside?
I was a delivery driver at Domino's, and then I became assistant manager. I worked at the airport, working on a conveyor belts, the new one in Kenner that they built. And I worked for Zito's shipyard in Jefferson Parish.
You have children?
Yes, sir. I have one child.
How old is your child?
For
Sorry?
4 years. She's 4 years old.
You have a relationship?
She made one when I was locked up in Jefferson. I talk to her every now and then, but she knows my name, she knows my voice, but she don't really know me.
Tell me about drugs, alcohol. You ever use drugs, alcohol?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about drugs.
I first used drugs when I was 15.
What did you start using at 15?
Started with marijuana. I gradually moved on to cocaine. I did a little bit of drinking here and there, and then I got incarcerated. And I came back.
How often would you use drugs when you were on the outside?
A lot.
That's a lot.
Daily.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I don't know where your speaker is, but if you could get closer to it, I'm really having trouble hearing you.
Daily.
Daily.
Can you?
You consider yourself to be a drug addict?
Yes, sir.
You ever had treatment on the outside?
No, sir. No, sir.
How about drug dealing? When did you start selling drugs?
I started selling 18.
At 18? How often were you selling drugs?
A lot, sir.
What's a lot?
Every day.
Tell me a little bit about what got you here. Tell me about the armed robberies that you committed back in 2001.
I was 17 and I was just hanging out with the wrong crowd, and we made a bad choice.
Okay, you used the drugs back then?
Yes, sir.
You high when you committed the robbery?
Yes, sir.
And how long did you spend in prison?
15 years and 9 months.
You got out on parole,
Yes, sir.
and then you got arrested for drugs. Tell me about that.
I was working for Zito's, and then they laid us off. I started working for Donald's, and I wrecked the car. So I lost my job. I was doing bad, and I was using drugs, and I just started selling. Got caught up.
Now, while you were in jail on the armed robbery charge, did you take any programs while you were in prison?
Yes, sir.
What'd you take?
So character count, HIV/AIDS awareness. I took computer class. I took culinary arts.
Did you take living in balance?
Yes, sir.
Did you go to the Blue Walters program?
Yes, sir.
You had a lot of programs that kind of helped you with your drugs. I mean, you got drug treatment while you were in prison.
Yes, sir.
Yet you went back to it when you got out. Why is that?
I started hanging around the same people that I knew when I left, and it was poor choices. Poor choices. Once I started hanging out with them and I started using it, just became a snowball effect.
Okay. And so is this time different?
Yes, sir.
What's different?
I took classes. I took risk management 1 and 2, and she was teaching us about triggers. See, when I get around my old
Authors
friends,
didn't teach you that sort of thing?
yeah, they taught us, but I didn't never learn the trigger parts. They were teaching about the use of drugs and the things that it does to you and everybody else. But I see from experience, I didn't know from experience back then, but I see from experience this time that when I get around my old friends, I start getting old thoughts and I'm
Okay, let's backtrack just a tad. You spent 15 and a half, you spent 15 years in prison. You took some good programs. You came out, you went back to using drugs. You got arrested for drugs. You come back to prison. And while you're in prison, you get arrested for contraband. Now tell me about that. And I already read the report, so I want to know exactly what you were going to do with all of those drugs.
Yes, it was drugs, synthetic marijuana, Schedule 2 and 1, and we were gonna use it,
Sell it.
sell a little bit.
You're in prison
Yes, sir.
and you set up a scheme to be able to get drugs from the outside, significant drugs from the outside, and come back inside the prison to use and to sell.
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, you've taken a class and you're changed.
Well,
Tell me about that. I find that difficult to believe.
Try to take classes down at Plaquemines, and they said I couldn't take any classes until I was 1 year short. So I had to get away from there to go somewhere where I could take classes. And when I got here, at first I couldn't, and I kept talking and talking. I told them
All
I
right,
needed to
let's lay down, Mr. Corzo. You took some good classes when you were in prison on your own robbery.
Yes,
So you had a basis, you chose to ignore it. Then you get to prison again. And then while in prison, you set up a scheme to get drugs to distribute them while you're in prison to prisoners. And you've been in jail now for 3.5 years.
yes, sir.
And during that 3.5 years, you do this drug deal. You get caught. You take a couple classes, and now you're a changed man. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, sir, not technically, but most of it, yes.
I mean, I I find it hard to believe that you changed that quickly. So enlighten me.
I hit rock bottom. I lost everything. On my last dose, I lost my mother, my father, my grandparents. On this dose, I lost my brother, and that really hit me hard. And I don't want to lose nobody else. I'm not there. I don't have a relationship with my daughter, and back then it was just me. And now she's involved, and I don't want her to end up in the streets or grow up without a father or use drugs or anything like that. And I just hit rock bottom. And I had enough. I'm tired of making bad mistakes, and I needed help. My way of thinking, I had to change. I even go to AA right now. I don't even get credit for that. I attend that on my free time. And I talk to Ms. Joyce and Mr. Dion every day, and they know me. They go to West Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge, and I'm always front and center in everything I do. And with Mrs. Wilson on the other classes, I'm front and center right there. I'm the first one to come, I'm the last one to leave. I try to get everything I can out of each class. I try to apply it into my life. So maybe when I get out, I can stay out. I know I messed up, sir. I know I've been a trouble to the community. It's time for a change. If I don't start now, I don't know when it's gonna end. I need help.
Well, I'm glad that you're realizing that, and that's a step in the right direction. Maybe a first step, but it's a step in the right direction. What can you tell us about Mr. Corzo?
But he's been here for a little bit over a year and a half. Since he's been here, he hadn't had any infractions with us. Lewis works for probation and parole. He's a special detail. Every day he leaves the facility, he goes up and he cleans up and work at probation and parole. We picks him up from probation and parole, and we takes him over to parish government, the East Feliciana Parish Police Jury, and the tax assessor's office. He takes care of cleaning and whatever they need done over in those offices, and he also do the town of Clinton. He works over there in the town of Clinton. He's a special detail. We just hadn't had any infractions, and when he come into the facility in the evening, he actually runs the laundry. He do the laundry for the whole facility. So since he's been here, we haven't had any issues at all with him.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have Mr. Randy Myers who's opposed. We have Miss Jessica Corzo, Tanika Ford, Diana Corzo Muscarella, Dwayne Boudreaux, all in support. We'll have a brief statement from Miss Jessica Corzo.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Jessica Corza. I'm one of his sisters. I just want him to get better. I want him to come out and be able to be a better person, get involved with his daughter. He's missed almost practically all her life growing up, and he needs help. I realize that now from hearing the things that I'm hearing, and I'm just here to support him, give him that help that he needs, and help him build to be a better person for his daughter.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comment. We'll hear from Miss Diana Corzo Muscarella.
Hi, I'm Diana Corzo Mascarella. I am Lewis's youngest sister. Through this whole process, I have been caring for his daughter. She's been with me for almost 4 years, her whole life. We try our best to make sure that she knows who he is, but like he said, he really doesn't have a relationship with her. I was one of the lucky ones. You know, we grew up surrounded by drugs, surrounded by, you know, people that didn't get out, and I got to get out. You know, I went to college, I became a teacher. Luckily, you know, my teachers saw that I had a lot in me. So I was able to get out, you know, provide for myself. I'm married. I've been a first grade teacher for 10 years. My hope is that if he does get out, with permission, that he comes, lives with me, my husband, and his daughter. I'm far away, not far, but about an hour drive away from what I consider his old life. So it provides a little distance from that trigger he said he has of, when he got out last time, he went right back into that same environment and situation. I'm hopeful that if he comes, stays with me, I live in a different parish altogether. I don't do drugs. I don't participate in any kind of criminal activity. That's just not condoned in my household, or in my way of living, because I'm a teacher. I have certain standards and rules and regulations that I have to abide by. But my hope is that when he comes out, I can provide a stable environment where he can get on his feet and build that relationship with his daughter, because he's missed out on so much, from first steps to first words to, her being one of the brightest kids in her classroom, that I get to hear that from her teachers. He doesn't. So my hope is just that I know he's gotten lots of chances, but I hope that with this last chance that he does something better, and he helps provide a better life for his daughter, give her the same opportunities that I had for an education, and be a successful citizen.
All right, well, thank you so much. Thank you for your comment. We'll have a brief comment from Dwayne Boudreaux. Is Dwayne Boudreaux here?
Yes, hello, how you doing?
A brief comment.
Pretty much, I didn't know what Lewis was into, or if he did anything wrong when I previously met him before he was incarcerated. It was a surprise to me. I didn't know, just the type of guy he was, and his level of standards and morals. It all surprised me when he went to jail. I definitely will give him employment when he gets out. I've owned a grocery store in New Orleans that's been in my family for 30 years, and I started a delivery business in Louisiana, Mississippi, moving to Florida, and I'm actually right now expanding to Puerto Rico. He is, I could speak, I don't want to have no, Lewis has to be accountable for what he has done, and accountability is everything. I can say what I've seen. I know he's a good guy. I've talked to him often while he's been incarcerated. I don't even like seeing him like this. I don't like having to see him in his position and him looking down, and him. It's, he is humble, but I don't like to see, him in this position. But
Yes.
He has to be accountable for what he's done. I believe, that I think that we've talked that he's not going back. We talk all the time about, legal, legitimate stuff and legal, legitimate business.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your comments. And Randy, yes. Mr. Randy Meyer.
Okay, I think I'm on.
Yep,
Randy
we can hear
Meyer, Assistant DA in Jefferson. We're opposed to his request. He has a long history of drugs and weapons offenses. He's committed criminal offenses while he's under supervision and while he's incarcerated. He was involved in, the issue. We had lots of drugs that he was bringing into the prison to distribute. He's continued with that activity and the drug activity even after taking substance abuse programs. We think his programming is limited as well, and he needs to remain incarcerated and have additional programming before he's released. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Lewis, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I know I messed up. I take accountability for all my actions. There's no excuse. It's poor decision making on my part, period. I've done nothing good for the community. I wish I could do something, maybe volunteer to speak up to people before they get in situations like me, maybe give them some hope. If I am released, I do want to obtain some type of drug treatment program, maybe go to AANA, and I definitely want to get away from Orleans. I want to go with my sister, new environment, new living, better job, just meet a new group of people. Because the other way of living, it's not working for me. And nothing but trouble. It's hurting me, and I'm tired. I want to build a relationship with my daughter, want her to know who I am.
All right. All right, thank you for your comments. Thank you. Bell, prepare to vote.
Yes.
Mr. Bella?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Corzo, I've enjoyed the interview. I hope what you're telling me is true. I have some reservations simply because of your past. Your criminal history is horrible. You started distributing drugs at 16 years old. You have a horrible criminal record, both juvenile and adult. You continued to do crimes while you've been in prison. You know, on the positive scale, you've got two beautiful sisters who are here today who love you and support you. You've got some good family support. And you're very fortunate that you only got a 7-year sentence on these serious crimes that you committed. I mean, that's a wonderful break. You're going to be getting out in 2025 on good time, regardless of what we did here today. I hope that you've turned the corner. I'm just not prepared to release you today, to vote to release you. I think you need some more programming. I think you need certainly more substance abuse. I think you need some long-term treatment to make sure that you understand what it is you have to do to remain sober and to stay law-abiding. I think you need to take courses like Thinking for a Change, Victim Impact, understand and realize what your drug dealing has done to the victims. Everybody says, oh, that's a victimless crime. That's BS. There are people dying every day because people are selling them drugs. I hope you've turned the corner. I hope you have hit rock bottom. My vote today is going to be to deny, but encourage you to try to get into some long-term programs because you are going to be getting out in the next year and a half or so. Good luck to you.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur with Mr. Marabella. I think he definitely needs more programming, and he has a terrible criminal history.
All right, I also vote to deny your parole for the same reasons as stated, but you do have some good support and you have an opportunity here. You need to make the best of it. And you're doing well where you are. So 3 votes to deny your parole's been denied. Good luck to you. We'll adjourn at 9:53 at East Police County.
I think they're 100% right. He is so lucky to have just a 7-year sentence. Really unbelievably lucky. He was put in as an habitual offender. We've seen habitual offenders get 20 years just like that. And I have his record here, some of his record. I'll put it in the
Are those
description.
programs offered at your facility?
Good question. Good question. That's a fair question because often those programs are not offered at the facility. But he's just gonna end up getting out in good time. His part of his record includes he robbed a police car, broke into the window, popped the trunk, took what was ever in there. He robbed 5 people in a restaurant at gunpoint. And then in prison, he does this whole like drug deal, which I don't know, you would think a loan that could have given him, they could have just thrown the book at him. And was it Mr. Mirabella, did he say that? He's right. I mean, beautiful sisters that have their head on straight, and thank God they got his baby. I mean, there's so much on the bright side of this story. He did talk a good talk. He spoke a good game. He had the right answers, but I would also be hesitant to believe it. You can't just, you know, I think they did the right move by holding him there. You can't can't break all those rules and just get away with it. But, you know, going to AA when he didn't need to, that's, you know, he's doing the right things. He's going to get out soon, and hopefully he can get his life together. A lot to learn here, just how their sisters, you know, and how she said it, like teachers saw that she had something and they invested in her, and look what she did. And I think we can learn so much from that. You know, you're not always doomed to a certain destiny. You can grow up under the same roof, and you can have one ending up in prison and the other ending up a college degree and a teacher. That's going to be my primary takeaway. With that, I'll let you go.